And good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. I hope I did a little bit of a better job reposting my link because, like I said, I got to start my show and then I got to go in, find my link to my live program, and then post it into my, um, yeah, into my feed. Like, I need y'all to figure this out. I know it's something on the back end, and this is just my opinion. I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on right now. I really do think it is something to do with how they're coming after X, because it is, it is a pretty free platform. There, I think it's not perfect. Guarantee you. There are some things on there that I don't like on there. Like, I think there's like pornography and some weird stuff going on in certain parts of X. Like, yeah, those things need to go away. But for the most part, I think they're trying to damage the functionality of it purposely. So people get discouraged in using it and then they go to other platforms. But here's the thing, you're never going to stop people from being free. So, to all the evil people out there trying to shut down people that want to be free, good luck. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't care how much evil you got, it's not going to happen. So, good luck. Yeah, there's that. So, we're going to start off this morning with, of course, our Kids Corner. And good morning to everybody out there. Happy Tuesday. And let's get it started.
Small town, there lived a young boy named Cormac. He loved to dream big but struggled with his messy habits. His room was always a disaster, and he didn't know where to start. One day, his grandfather, Ramesh, noticed Cormac's struggle. With a smile, he said, "Cormac, great changes start with small steps. Try doing just one thing every day." Cormac started small. The next morning, he decided to make his bed. Then, he picked up one toy and put it away. Each day, he added one tiny habit to his routine. Within a month, Cormac's room was spotless. But it wasn't just his room. His schoolwork improved, he felt happier, and even his friends noticed his positive energy. One day, Cormac shared his secret with his friend Priya. He said, "Big things start small. Just focus on one step at a time, and the rest will follow." And so, Cormac taught us all an important lesson. Even the smallest habits, when repeated every day, can create a big, positive change. Start small, and you'll see how far you can go.
Yes, start small, everybody, and just see how far you can go. And it gets better every single time. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup over here. There's some things that I got to send off. Like I said, I'll get it together. I was running a little bit behind. I was trying to figure out my table. So I have this wonderful table that my husband bought me, and it's an ergonomic table, and it actually moves up and down so I could stand if I wanted to or sit, and I can make the adjustments on it, which is super cool, right? Here's the thing. I when we moved the table, and I wasn't really thinking about it because I hadn't used it in a while, I forgot to plug the table back in. So I'm here pressing the buttons and I'm like, why isn't my table plugged in? And then I looked again. I was like, oh my gosh, I completely unplugged the table. Like, I completely detached it. I was like, well, it's not going to work if it's not plugged in. So I really appreciate that video because, yeah, keeping things organized. And the more organized you stay, the easier things will become. So that's, something I'm definitely going to work on is being a little bit more organized. And so with that, let's get into honoring God with our body. So God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please help me. Please protect my ears and help me listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help my hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect my reproductive organs and help me to honor you with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect my feet as I walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. So that is something that we say daily here at Unfiltered Vision News. Just a reminder, right? To honor God with our body, because this is the only body we got. I'm telling you. And it's very interesting to see how people are moving and functioning in today's society, not really considering, honoring God with their body. You were given this life and this body, and it is up to you to take care of it, right? It's your responsibility. I'm glad we have doctors, but the responsibility still falls back on us. So we have to do a good job with preserving and honoring God with our body. Now, we're going to not spend too long a time on this, but I did want to at least give an update on it. And this is in regards to the Trump assassination that happened over the weekend.
Shooting at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Authorities say the suspected gunman was carrying a shotgun and a gas can when he drove into the secure perimeter Sunday morning. And it comes as law enforcement prepping security ahead of this week's State of the Union address. Hannah Joyce, the breaking now desk. Hannah, what details can you give us about that suspected gunman?
Robin, authorities identified the man as 21-year-old Austin Tucker from North Carolina. Police shot him just after 1 yesterday morning. The president and first lady were at the White House when it all went down. And this is actually the third assassination attempt on the president.
He was ordered to drop those two pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the two Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat.
Martin's family reported him missing Saturday. His cousin described him as quiet and inexperienced with guns and said he didn't know how Martin felt about the president. Now, authorities are trying to figure out what Martin was planning and why.
If you live in the area of the shooting, please check your exterior cameras for last night, early this morning. If you see anything, please contact us.
In a post on X, FBI Director Kash Patel says the FBI will dedicate all necessary resources to the investigation. Reporting in studio, Hannah Joy for News Now.
And I'm glad they're doing that, but I hope it doesn't end up like the last situation. It shouldn't end up anything like Butler, because Butler, the Secret Service was there, the FBI was there, and they were like, well, we don't have this information, and they're not sharing that information. So I'm really hoping that, again, any camera footage that was captured, because they did take pictures of the gun on the ground and the gas can on the ground. This was a different news report that I came across. And I was just like, is this a psyop or is this real? I'm not trying to downplay the assassination attempt, because it is very serious, right? What's going on. But it's just the timing of it. The person, having a relative saying he didn't even have any experience with guns. And you have a gun. Apparently, in that family, they're Trump supporters. So it just begs the question, like, what is this? It's an anomaly, and it's weird, because this person doesn't have any violent history in their background, as allegedly, and as far as we know. Like I said, if I get any more new information on it, I will definitely share it with you. But this is Tell It All Tuesday, so I wanted to make sure that I brought that up. Now we're going to get into a few other videos. I'm not going to play the entire videos on a lot of them because they're very long. And I want to make sure that we can get everything in, because, again, today is Tell It All Tuesday, and I try to get as much in as I can. So the next thing we're going to look at, so apparently Governor Newsom, I don't know, he was in Georgia, and he was talking with Andre Dickens, and he was talking about having dyslexia. It's kind of weird. I'm like, okay, why is that coming up? And you're running for president. Like, I don't know if you're trying to make it relatable, like, people that have setbacks in their learning disabilities. But as long as you've been governor, as long as you were mayor, this never came up then. But now it's a thing. So here's the recipe. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't watch South Park. I do watch South Park every once in a while. I know. Anyways, there was an episode on there, and it talked about a brand, right? We have to have basically 2 to 3 good things to say about you, but then we have to make you a victim in something so people can basically feel sorry for you, relate to you, and that kind of endears you to them, right? So you can say mayor, governor, potential potential Democratic presidential nominee, dyslexia, right? And you're like, why would you throw dyslexia in? Because you need to feel sorry for somebody. They need to be the victim in some area. So now he's creating something where he can't be attacked, right? Because now it creates a sense of victimhood. I know it's crazy. I'm just telling you that's the primordial soup that's out there. So it says during a book tour stop with Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, Newsom shared his dyslexia diagnosis from age 5. Now, we haven't found out about it till now. You've been the mayor, you've been the governor. Now we're just now finding out about this. Okay. Sweaty hands, trouble reading speeches, and 960 SAT score, saying he's no better than his audience. What do you mean you're no better than your audience? Like, it's weird. It's almost like, see, we value education here in the state of Georgia. I don't know what you're talking about. And for those that are struggling, we still try to help them excel as well. And for those that are not excelling, we're still fighting to make sure that they're excelling. What are you talking about? It's like I said, he's creating a victim class for himself. So conservatives like Sean Hannity and Tim Scott called it pandering and insulting, which it is. While a resurfaced clip of him speed reading a book fueled doubts about his claims. Newsom's team dismissed requests for diagnosis proof rudely, drawing bipartisan rebukes, and he pushed back proudly online amid jabs from Trump. So again, he's creating a victimhood. He's creating an argument that doesn't even need to be had. Like, y'all shouldn't even mess with it. Like, don't mess with him. If he wants to do this, let him do it. But again, I think it's sad for him to kind of say, I'm no better than you. I'm no better than this audience. Okay, we're aware of that. You are no better than anybody. But you're trying to make it seem like the dumbing down is okay. So I'm gonna play. This is where it kind of went a little left.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy, I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you.
Wow. Not you. Stop it. You are the most inauthentic person that I've ever seen. I'll just say allegedly a sociopath and psychopath. And, liar. He does not know who he is. So how can we know who he is? You know what I'm saying? It's very disingenuous. You do not have to pander to anyone. You could say, you know what? I've had struggles in my past that I mentioned in my book. you know, and I was able to grow past them and achieve more. And that's really what I want to see for the American people, to be able to achieve through your shortcomings. That's better said. And people would respect you more than you really trying to make it seem like it's okay to be dumb. Well, some of you out there have 940. What if they don't? What if they got higher? It's rude. And but this is what politicians do. He is truly a politician. He is not a servant of the people. And that's the difference. And those are the things that people need to really look out for when it comes to election. You guys know I've talked about it before, so definitely check out usaredemptionparty.com. We are looking for servants of the people, not individuals like Gavin Newsom who want to just be politicians. He has proven to all of us that he just wants to line his pockets. He wants to be in power. He does not want to empower the people. He wants to rule, period. He wants to reign, period. He does not care about people. So, soapbox for that one, right? Right? I'm going to let that one go. So, the other thing that I wanted to actually bring about, apparently, Democrats, and this is just in relation to the primaries, this because they're not having any elections yet. It's just the primaries. So as of February 23rd, the sixth day of early voting, Democrats recorded 638,082 votes ballots statewide, topping their full 2022 early turnout, while Republicans hit 542,943, only 53% of their 2022 pace at this point. This gap has conservatives online warning of low GOP enthusiasm and risk to November's general election in the Republican stronghold, where all 38 seats and key state offices are at stake. Competitive Democratic races like the U.S. Senate primary between Representative Jasmine Crockett and Representative James Tallarico are driving the wave, fueled by core voters, general election regulars, and some crossovers. Early voting continues through February 27th, ahead of the March 3rd election day. And my whole thing is always going to be, is everybody that's voting, are they citizens? Just because it's Texas doesn't mean there's not compromise going on. At this point in our nation's history, everybody's suspect. And I mean everybody. And nothing is off the table for us to discuss when it comes to elections. Like I said before, Atlanta is a bellwether. Atlanta is showing everybody that, yes, there can be irregularities in your voting in your elections. And you need to make sure that it gets checked. And we're going to look a little bit more into Fulton County and also the State Board of Elections and what's going on here. But I wanted to check out the Senate primary. And I was like, okay, so there's early voting, right? And I asked, like, who are those that are leading the Senate primaries, right? Because I want to know. So they've got three main Republican candidates so far. Texas Attorney General Paxton, he's polling consistently, shows him leading. Okay. So Paxton's like 38%, Cornyn's 31%, Wesley Hunt's got 17%, 12% are undecided. Okay. So that's for the Senate race that's going on, and that for November. So right now, it's a tight race between Cornyn and Paxton, but hopefully, between the two, they will be running, in November. Wesley Hunt. Okay. Sorry, sir. But that's where we're at. And this is for Texas attorney. Okay. That's the front runner. All right. That's Paxton. Okay. The incumbent, Cornyn, that's him. And then there's Wesley Hunt. Right now, Wesley Hunt, I want to say he is a House representative right now. Now, for the Democratic primary, the front runner is Jasmine Crockett. Okay. And she's got 47%. Tallarico's got 39%, 12% are undecided. So her campaign has also released internal polling showing her in a similar lead. Okay, here's Tallarico. All right. So both Democratic candidates are campaigning aggressively, right? It's so, in my opinion, in that race for the Democrats and even the Republicans, I know it's hard to say like this, even though you're in the lead, sometimes the leader doesn't always pan out because it depends on who they really want and who they see winning in November. I've seen it happen to other people in other races. They will not put them up, even if they have leading in the primaries. But we'll see. That's just my opinion. Like I said, just look, just my opinion. You know, things could change. Things could be different. But right now, you know, even though they did not want Jasmine Crockett in that race, she's leading. So that tells a lot of what's happening in Texas right now, even within the Democratic Party. Okay. So next, I want to look at a warning from Alex Jones. As you guys know, I do watch a lot of his videos, but this is looking at what's happening in Mexico and what its potential kind of moving into the United States area. Because you got to remember, Mexico does border the United States, right? You've got California, New Mexico, and Arizona right there, and Texas right there at the border. So hopefully this doesn't bleed over, but let's check out what they have to say.
Last 24 hours in Mexico was just a phase of this, an attention-getting phase, setting gas stations on fire. This like destroys if you've got a town with 2 gas stations, a couple thousand people, and you just burn their 2 gas stations and the next town and the next town, their economy is wrecked. I mean,
you just paralyze them. And so that was my first question. We'll elaborate in the 4th hour. You agree?
But that's just phase one. That's just phase one. If the Mexican army threatens to get control, it goes right into their compounds. Let's say helicopter gunships right into the cartel compounds, right? Rockets, aerial attack. They will then begin to kidnap Americans' families. There will be judges, there will be governors whose daughters at college will be snatched.
Stop there. Stop there. 4th hour. Everybody has to tune in. Even if you can't watch then, we'll be on X and Rumble later. I totally agree. So when I started the interview with you, I asked a question. I think we went there. Just in summation, you agree with me that what we just saw was not the earthquake. This was the tremor.
Right. This was just the first tremor of this.
But reportedly the bounty on Trump is unbelievable. I'm just going to stop there. I've got a huge one on me, and I hate to even get on air and like even talk about that, okay? But you have to understand, the bounty doesn't activate until they hit the button. Then they all come to your house. So that's why the minute they kill Trump, if they do, you better get out of your house immediately. They're guaranteed there's a group of communists or Antifa or a mix with drug cartels, just like one battle after another. That's all programming that is coming to your house to kill you. You have the communist Chinese putting out with their English speakers all over the internet in the last few months, oh, if you see an American flag during the revolution, kill everyone inside and take their weapons. I played those clips. So they're really intending to do this, okay? This is the Podesta plan. And Trump wants to crush the cartels and get Mexico to stop working with them and to stop the money laundering to try to get control of this. Now, are they going to now strike back in the U.S.? Will this make them launch earlier? I don't know. But Matt Bracken has literally predicted all of this. It's still going on countrywide. They're covering it up. Police, military getting killed all over the place. Don't forget, something like 45 mayors. Yeah, 45, last time I saw. By December of last year, 45 mayors had been killed. They killed hundreds of other government officials last year. 250,000 dead total in the last 15 years of Mexico drug cartels we know of. And this is one of the nastiest. And Trump has turned off the money laundering. He has made the banks stop it to a great extent. He's taken out Venezuela at one level that cuts off Cuba. So you see all the strategic move, but they're striking back. And I believe with the killing of their cartel leader that you won't just have aftershocks. I believe this is going to be a tremor for something much bigger. So former Navy SEAL, best-selling author, one of the best anti-terrorism, big picture brains out there, Matt Bracken joins us. I appreciate Matt coming on with us today. I'm tempted to even try to get him back in the fourth hour, but...
So I'm going to stop it right there because it's like a 24-minute video. So I'm going to definitely have a link so you guys can watch the entire video, but I wanted you to see some of that. I mean, they actually filmed themselves setting a car on fire and posted it. That's what's going on in Mexico right now. As far as we know, the flights have been canceled, so people are literally trapped there. I don't know what's happening with the cruise industry. No one has really spoken upon that yet. To see if, because with cruises, they can like not stop at those ports. I've been to Puerto Vallarta. We went to, was it Cabo? And I forgot the other place that we went to, but it was years ago. It was in 2019. And so those ports, they do not have to stop at those ports. But I'm hoping that they just canceled those cruises and just stayed out of the area, right? Just to be on the safe side. But for anybody who flew in that can't fly out, I'm not sure what the actual border looks like of people going in and out of the border exchange where you go through the gate, like if you're going into Mexico or you're coming out of Mexico, because can you even travel by car right now? I mean, this is very serious, what's happening in Mexico. So definitely praying for those individuals to get out. And like Matt Bracken was saying, they could start kidnapping American citizens now, or they might allegedly. So we definitely have to keep people in prayer. And sincerely, Lawless, good morning. And thank you so much for joining us here on the stream. Now, you did hear Alex Jones talk about the Podesta plan. So I was actually able to find a video where they gave like a little summary of it on Band.video, which is InfoWars. This is one of their many channels. And so I wanted to share that with you. And this is Mr. Bound. Here's one of his reports. And hopefully it'll get an understanding of what the Podesta plan is.
Enter the so-called Podesta plan, a plan that isn't a single, neatly titled document you can Google in a heartbeat. It's the insidious undercurrent of strategies hatched by John Podesta, the longtime Clinton operative and Obama whisperer, to weaponize division, radicalize the masses, and claw back power through engineered unrest. And at its rotten heart, the Podesta plan emerges from the WikiLeaks trove of over 50,000 emails hacked from Podesta's Gmail in 2016.
This is a legitimate email. John needs to change his password immediately. So the IT team said, yes, John, reset your password at that bit.ly link. Well, they actually say reset it at myaccount.google.com, which is the right link, but he just went back to the original email and used the bit.ly link, and then he got hacked.
These weren't just chit-chat about pizza parties. They revealed a calculated machine, Podesta, as Hillary's campaign chair and founder of the left-wing think tank Center for American Progress, plotting to plant the seeds of the revolution in America. One bombshell email from 2012 penned by activist Sandy Newman to Podesta floated the idea of hijacking religious voters for a progressive uprising.
What Kirk said was dangerous. What Kirk said was racist, rooted in white supremacy, nasty, and hate-filled.
Fast forward through the leaks and you see the blueprint solidify, coordinate with media allies to amplify outrage, fund agitators through shadowy foundations, and stoke racial and cultural fault lines to delegitimize elections. It's not about winning votes. It's about winning the narrative war, turning dissent into dynamite.
Reaction to the Trump tape?
Well, my reaction is it's disgusting. And I think people saw in real life what we've been saying for a long time. What Hillary said as far back as June is that he's unfit to be president of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president-elect of the United States, Donald John Trump.
Post 2016, as Trump stormed the gates, Podesta and his ilk didn't slink away, they doubled down. Remember James Carville, the raging Cajun himself, teaming up with Podesta and leaked chats right after the election? They schemed to paint Trump as an existential threat to minorities and immigrants, priming blue cities for secession and street-level sabotage.
Trump is a criminal. Criminals like to be around other criminals.
And a mob boss.
Yeah.
Podesta's fingerprints are everywhere, from emails coordinating with CNN's Donna Brazile to rig town halls to whispers of pressuring donors like Saudi Arabia and Qatar over ISIS funding while ignoring Clinton Foundation ties.
But most scandalous is that one of the biggest donors to the supposedly progressive team is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, currently massacring dissidents in its own country, as well as thousands of Yemeni civilians. The Saudi regime funds the Clintons with at least tens of millions of dollars. And in 2015, the Saudi government also started paying $140,000 per month to the Podesta Group.
Now, zoom to today, and the Podesta plan isn't theory, it's fully operational. With Trump back in the saddle and the deep state reeling, sources are buzzing about a Podesta-led Democrat plan for 1,500 protests across all 50 states, scripted riots in LA, and false flags to frame Trump as a dictator, all to ignite a civil war scenario and seize power. Podesta is not just advising on climate scams like the Inflation Reduction Act's $370 billion green slush fund.
As Karine noted, we're marking the one-year anniversary of a truly transformative piece of legislation, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the largest investment in clean energy and climate action ever in the United States, in the history of the world. But first, I want to acknowledge that.
But you know what's interesting? I have to pause it right there. Then what happened to Cancer Alley? What happened to Flint? What happened to Jackson, Mississippi? You keep talking about this clean air and clean water, but you do nothing about what's actually happening. But you support the companies that are doing the damage. Yeah, I want y'all to take that in. Listen to what he said and take in what I just said. Cancer Alley is still happening in Louisiana. There's no clean water in Jackson. There's no clean water in Flint. Still happening. And yet the Democrats are talking about, oh, this is the best piece of legislation. This was life-changing for the people who made money off of it and changed nothing. Just let that sit in.
Today's event is coming during a time of heartbreak as the toll of extreme weather fueled by climate change is being felt across the country and the world.
Now we're just having to get the money out as fast as possible before they come in and stop it. It truly feels like we're on the Titanic and we're throwing gold bars off the hatch.
He's the architect of the unrest that keeps the masses distracted while the elite consolidate. This is the Podesta Plan, orchestrated uprising, riding out into this very day. Infowars.com.
Yeah. So when you hear about the Podesta Plan, that's it. And we can even look at how the World Economic Forum, when they were showing those videos during the first lockdowns that we had, and they were saying, you'll own nothing and be happy, right? Drones will deliver things to your door. You know, they were really trying to make people succumb to being slaves. I'm like, what are we doing? It's weird. Y'all talk about, oh no, we don't agree with slavery, but yet, and still you're trying to have people actually buy into it with different forms and matters. Debt slavery, medical martial law, that's still slavery. Now you've got violence everywhere where people are, you know, afraid to say what their political leanings are. They're afraid to go to certain places. We have no-go zones here in America, just like they do in Europe. Yeah, those things are happening. And we need to be aware of what's going on, and we need to put a stop to it. We cannot sit back and hide on the couch. You need to get off the couch and go outside in your cities, in your towns, and make sure this stuff isn't happening. Get on the election board in your county, in your city. Because trust me, the seats are available. And they know people are kind of like, oh, it's somebody else's job. No, it's your job. It's yours. And you need to get outside and handle it. Now, the next thing that I wanted to look at, and this is another video from John Bound. This is talking about how they're actually, you know, looking more into the royal family and some of these sex scandals that have been going on, especially since the release of the Epstein files.
The Epstein files continue to crumble the foundations of an old world loosely strung together by its anointed Luciferian power broker. Connections to Saudi royalty have surfaced, while Epstein being authorized to land at UK Royal Air Force bases has the British government scratching its head.
But who, if anyone, is following up what we now know from one email that I discovered, which is short, but brings in the Children's Investment Fund, of which Rishi Sunak was a partner. The advisor that sent it, who then goes on to also advise Sarah Ferguson, who is given a royal appointment from Mum, the Queen, for some sort of role that we don't know of, who the next day jumps on a plane to China to arbitrate a trade deal that is facilitated with Prince Andrew, who, as we know, then goes on to take probably a wholly different group of Chinese people into royal palaces, before we find out that they are not who they say they are.
The cold case of Alyssa Dimitrieva pops back up to the surface. A 17-year-old Latvian teenager went missing in August of 2011. A dog walker stumbled across her badly decomposed, partially clothed remains on the Queen's private Sandringham estate in Norfolk, prime royal hunting ground. The kind of place where the Windsors go to shoot pheasants and escape the spotlight. Police immediately launched a full-blown murder probe. Evidence piled up. Phone pings placed her last signal near Sandringham. 2 men were in custody, yet no charges, ever. Now under scrutiny as the British royal family squints in the spotlight.
There are villages within this estate, so it is open to the public in many places. Only around the house is it very private and secure, and this happened about a mile away from the main gates to the house, so it is in the Queen's backyard, you could say.
In Norway, across the pond from the UK royal demonic pedos, Crown Princess Mette-Marit's son, Marius Borg-Høiby, is on trial in Oslo, facing 38 charges, including 4 counts of rape, aggravated assault, threats, non-consensual filming, and more against multiple women from 2018 to 2024. Newly released Epstein files expose hundreds of emails between Crown Prince Mette-Marit and the Mater D of Satan from 2011 to 2018, chatting about island visits for her family, her boredom with royal life, and topics like adultery and suggesting naked women pics as wallpaper for Marius. And right on cue, because she assumes she is above the peasants, she publicly apologizes for her poor judgment.
I just think it's extremely sad. It's sad that we have people at the very top who think it's acceptable to associate with a convicted paedophile. I find that quite tragic.
However, Norway just slammed the door on elite impunity. Former Prime Minister Thorbjørn Jagland, an ex-Nobel Peace Prize committee chair and Council of Europe boss, has been charged with aggravated gross corruption over his deep ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein document dumps exposed emails showing Jagland arranging solo and family trips to Epstein's luxury spots in Paris, New York, and Palm Beach, even after the financier's 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor. Jagland showered Epstein with gifts, travel perks, and possibly loans tied to his influential positions. The Council of Europe has stripped his diplomatic immunity at Norway's request, clearing the path for the indictment.
It is a very serious suspicion, and the circumstances that have been uncovered must be taken very seriously. I am glad that I live in a constitutional state where the prosecuting authorities take their responsibility seriously, and I will be careful not to get involved because it is their responsibility.
Meanwhile, back in the United States,
Goldman Sachs accepted the resignation of its chief legal officer, Kathy Rumler. Recent documents released by the U.S. Justice Department showed she accepted gifts from Epstein and advised him on how to address media inquiries regarding his crimes. Rumler is the most high-profile banking executive to depart after the release of the latest Epstein files.
Still, zero movement on the home team pedo elites. It's the same old protection racket, while the world continues to furiously crack the code. John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
Yeah.
Connections to southing its head.
But who?
Sorry, pausing that. Yeah. So Europe, they're going in. Other places are going in. What are we doing here in America? Like, I need y'all to get with it. You know who these people are. Shut it down. Let the indictments begin. Oh, is the excuse going to be like, we're getting to it? Again, Pam, you need to step down. And the Assistant Attorney General, he does not need to be there either. Both of you are failing at your job. You're failing. Because it's been over a year and you knew about this stuff even before you got in. You ran on it. President Trump ran on this. So you know the agenda. And now it's messy. And now he's just going to be known as the Epstein president if you do not handle this business. Now let's get to an actual arrest that has come down in regards to the Epstein files.
Another bombshell in the UK tied to the Epstein files. British police arresting the former UK ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Senior correspondent Benjamin Hall reports live. He is in London for us. These follow along the same type of charges that were filed against former Prince Andrew.
Yeah, that's right, John. And this is the second major arrest that's taken place because of Jeffrey Epstein and their relationship to him. Look, we are seeing cracks developing both in UK politics as well as in the royal family. And what we saw today, and just in the last hour or so, is Peter Mandelson, who was the UK ambassador to the US, arrested, taken in for questioning on sharing sensitive information from when he was involved with the trade envoy with the British government in 2009. Now, he has been accused of sharing market-moving documents and of suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now, Mandelson was sacked back in September as the British ambassador, and the big questions are now moving on towards Keir Starmer, who appeared to know his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein when he hired him for that role. And so there are big questions being asked about how much Keir Starmer knew the Prime Minister and what his future holds as well. And then we're still hearing the questions within the royal family. Prince Andrew arrested on Thursday for the same charges of sending sensitive documents to Jeffrey Epstein back around 2009 when he was the trade envoy for the UK. And so these questions are being asked, and it remains to be seen exactly what will happen. But certainly we're seeing more arrests taking place, and I guess more eyes looking on who perhaps might be arrested next. John?
All right, Benji Hall kicking us out this afternoon with the breaking news. Thank you, Benji. Sandra?
All right, so John, let's bring in Niall Gardner now, the former ambassador to Margaret Thatcher and director of the Margaret Thatcher Center of Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. Welcome to you now. Thank you so much for joining us. So please do weigh in on the breaking news.
Well, thanks very much for having me on the show today, Sandra. And this is, I think, hugely significant news from London. Lord Mandelson, of course, was Keir Starmer's ambassador to Washington. and he was put in place by Keir Starmer, I think in large part to sell what is known in the UK as the Chagos surrendered deal, to try and sell that deal to the United States. Fortunately, President Trump intervened last week to condemn the Chagos deal. But Lord Mandelson, really, I think that his arrest today in London, this is big enough ultimately to bring down the British Prime Minister. I mean, this is a massive scandal. Keir Starmer personally, of course, intervened to have Mandelson as the British ambassador to Washington. Starmer has faced intense questioning, of course, in the House of Commons and Parliament in recent weeks. There are growing calls for him to resign over this scandal. The charges against Lord Mandelson are extremely serious, basically passing on confidential British government documents to Jeffrey Epstein when Mandelson was business secretary. And so this is very high stakes. I expect that we're going to see the downfall of the British Prime Minister as a result of this in the coming weeks, even potentially in the next few days.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's John Roberts here now. The release of these Epstein files has taken down a lot of people that are not the people that the people who wanted these files released thought it would. In terms of the charges against Mandelson, there's no suggestion at this point that I have seen of sexual impropriety, unlike with former Prince Andrew, who has faced accusations of having sex with a minor, which he denies. And then he was popped on these charges of misconduct in government, potentially handing over sensitive information. So this is purely about a friendship that Mandelson had with Epstein, which apparently continued after Epstein's 2008 conviction of sexual misconduct with a minor. So this is purely a business thing, a government and national security thing, and not a sexual thing, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, John. This is about misconduct in public office, which carries actually potential life imprisonment for Lord Mandelson. So very serious charges, and it's also been revealed that Mandelson received a significant amount of money as well from Epstein. And so,
Yeah. So again, they're saying, "Oh no, it's nothing to do with any type of pedophilia or sexual misconduct." They're getting them on the almost like a processing crime of sharing information that was sensitive information that should not have been shared with Jeffrey Epstein, because he was not anyone to share that type of governmental information with, even though he was a part of what they call the Trilateral Commission, which is not a government entity, but it was just developed by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds so that they could get government secrets and have a subversive government. Weird as it sounds, they talk about the deep state and they talk about this shadow government. That was the Trilateral Commission. That's what it was. It was a shadow government running alongside our government, getting government secrets. But along with that, they were getting dirt on these different politicians, because if you were over there, why were you over there? What were you doing? And to me, they're just trying to clean a lot of these people up. But we will find out that they may have been a part of some other stuff going on, allegedly. Just saying. So with that, I did take a look at Grok, and I asked about the Epstein files, because people have been have been saying some of the files have been deleted. So the DOJ deleting Epstein files, is there a clause in the law passed that states a violation of the law if the files are deleted, right? Also, is there a time period where the files can be online? Because sometimes they have document retention, and they can say, okay, well, these files are going to be up for 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, right? And then after that, they'll be pulled. But there's nothing that stated that when they put them up. Again, and everybody's had to like smack them over the head, release the files or you're in violation of the law, right? Like release them, because they had to go through all of this to get the files. And it should not have had to go this far. But now we're here. It says, no, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, HR 4405, signed into law as public law on November 19th. Of last year, does not contain any clause stating that deleting the files or removing them after release is a violation of law. So they're not violating the law if they delete the files. I just want everybody to know that. Now, the act requires the Attorney General to make publicly available in a searchable, downloadable format a broad range of unclassified DOJ records related to Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs, named individuals, entities, immunity deals, internal communications, Epstein's death, and any records about past destruction, deletion, alteration of Epstein related materials, especially subsection 8, because in the Southern District of New York, there were claims that some files may have been deleted or gotten rid of, right? Hidden, basically. It explicitly prohibits withholding, delaying, or redacting based on embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. Allowed expectations are narrow: victim, P2 medical info. If disclosure would be a clear unwarranted privacy invasion, CSAM, active investigations, narrowly temporarily images of death, abuse, injury, or properly classified national security info. All redactions require a written justification published in the Federal Register sent to Congress. The act has no penalties, enforcement mechanisms, or civil/criminal violation provisions for non-compliance, deletion, or removal of files. So we went through all of this. And at the end of this wonderful, hey, you better do that rainbow, nobody is held accountable still because there's no enforcement mechanisms. So if they don't do it, this is like, so make me. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we're at. We're like, so make me. And they can actually act like that. But because of the public outcry, they're finally like, okay, we'll do it. And congressmen, okay, we'll do it. All right. This has been widely noted, including in analyses of the law in DOJ's partial delayed releases, noncompliance claims, missing the December 19, 2025 deadline, withholding half the estimated 6+ million pages, or privilege-based redactions beyond the Act's expectations have been debated politically and in Congress, but the statute itself creates no specific legal violation or punishment for the deletion. So here's the thing, Congress, y'all wrote this. If you wanted there to be an enforcement mechanism or any type of penalty, you should have put it in the law, and you didn't put it in the provisions. Y'all are wild. And then you stand out and get outraged. Oh my gosh, you need to be impeached. Shut up. Shut up. You should have put it in the law. Stop that. Most of you are attorneys and you know better. But you want to stand up and grandstand it and act like everybody's supposed to listen. Stop lying. Stop it. It's a bad look. I'm just saying. So general federal laws on destroying government records could theoretically apply to willful destruction of official records, but the Transparency Act does not reference or incorporate them as a specific enforcement tool here. And the DOJ's post-release removals have been justified as corrections for victim identifying errors allowed under the privacy CSAM expectations, not permanent deletion or concealment. But they can say, well, we shouldn't have put this out here, so we have to pull it back. But can they say that with all the files or just some files or certain files, right? It's really interesting. So there is no time period specified in the law for how long the files can or must remain online. So they could shut it down tomorrow and be like, we put them out there. If you didn't get them, what? Well, sorry for you, right? There's no reasonable amount of time. So the requirement is simply to make publicly available the qualifying materials. There is no sunset clause, expiration date, or retention limit mentioned. The intent and DOJ's implementation via the dedicated Epstein library page at the justice.gov/Epstein is ongoing public access with files remaining downloadable, searchable. Now, in practice, initial batches missed the 30-day deadline, were released in waves. Major dump, 3.5 million around January 30th of this year. Some files, images were temporarily taken down after posting December 2025 removals, including a Trump photo. February 26th removal of thousands of documents after victims flag unredacted identifying info. The DOJ described these as fixes for technical human error in redactions or permanent deletions. That's when people were like, no, if we put this stuff in some type of Apple application, all the redactions are gone. So all that stuff is out there. DOJ, just know you can't take that stuff back. Like it's done deal. Human error. Okay. So in short, the act is a one-time mandated release of transparency on getting the files out, not on preventing post-release removal or setting an online duration. So removals for legitimate redaction fixes have drawn criticism, but do not trigger a specific statutory violation under this law. But yeah, they're deleting the files. So you better get them. Don't, if you want them, get them. Just saying. Because there's nothing holding their feet to the fire saying that they have to, quite honestly, which is sad. You know, it shouldn't be that way, but it is what it is. It's a wild time that we are living in. Uncle Coldwater says, good morning. I personally think it's just safer to stay in America until after 2028. I don't disagree with you. And Tatas, thank you so much for joining us this morning and reposting the stream. And Uncle Coolwater says, and these people came out Project 2025. I'm not sure who these people that you're sharing are, but yeah, 2025 was definitely real in what happened. But yeah, this document dump has been a thorn, in my opinion, in the administration, and for the Congress to not properly give triggers or put in any fail-safes for the American people that says, okay, if this person doesn't do their job, they're on the hook. It's very telling of Congress, of who they're still trying to protect. Sorry. There's nothing in there saying that they can't delete the files. There's nothing up there saying how long the files will be online. Like I said, they could be gone tomorrow and they'll be like, well, we released them. Oh, well, if you didn't get to it, that's not our fault. Sorry. They could do that. And in my opinion, it's very harmful because you were already late doing it. And I'm not trying to put, any bad vibes out there. I'm just saying this is the trajectory that I see them going down. They do not care. You are showing the American people what you think about them when you do things like this. And people are listening, they're watching, and they are actually becoming more awake every single day. So I would be, just a little bit more mindful. Just a scotch, as they like to say, just a bit. Now, I wanted to get into something before we take a quick break. But remember those electronic swiping cards situations that we were talking about a while back? We were talking about this. I wanted to kind of revisit that for a second. So I want to share with you a commercial. Now, this is a commercial basically not supporting the bill, but talking against the bill and saying how it would be bad for the consumer.
Of Americans earn and use credit card rewards. A few big box retailers want to take those rewards away. Rewards we use on groceries and school supplies. The cash back to save on gas and grow our small businesses. And travel miles we use to make memories. The so-called Credit Card Competition Act would eliminate credit card rewards. No more travel miles, no more cash back. When lawmakers help mega retailers line their pockets, we pay for it. Tell your lawmaker to vote no on the big box bill.
Okay. So you just heard what they said. It's going to affect your rewards. You know what's weird about those rewards? They get kind of interesting because it's almost like you're chasing them, right? And if you don't chase them in the right way, guess who gets to change the rules the moment that it doesn't serve them? The credit card companies. The big box stores really have nothing to do with it. It's the credit card companies. So that commercial, in essence, is not so much telling the truth. And so I put it through Grok because I wanted to really give the breakdown. So the commercial is a one-sided advocacy ad from the industry opposition, not a balanced or fully accurate portrayal of the bill's consequences. Okay. Now it's saying millions of Americans, and this was produced by Electronic Payments Coalition, a trade group funded by banks, credit unions, Visa, MasterCard, and payment processors. So what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to make the bill look good. They want the bill looking bad because they want to still make that money. You got to remember, these people are making close to $160 billion a year, and those are just the banks. We haven't even gotten to Visa, MasterCard. Okay, so it ties directly to their hands off my rewards campaign, right? Typical messaging in this series. No more cash back or guard your card. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen to your security if this bill passes? Nothing, because they're still under federal regulation to protect your actual security in your information. Because if they don't, it's their fault. And like I said, Congress, if you're out there, you need to put in place where these companies, when they have these data breaches, it costs them $100,000 a pop minimum. So if my information gets breached, you're paying me $100,000. I think if we really start hitting people in their pocketbook, they'll start doing a better job and not selling off our information. I'm just saying. I'm looking for the legislation to go forth. Y'all need to do something about this because this is out of control. Now, it shows everyday people using credit cards, cash rewards, grocery bills, whatever, claims the Credit Card Competition Act would let big retailers like Walmart, Target force cheaper networks, eliminating or gutting rewards programs that millions of Americans rely on. They can't control the reward system. Walmart can't. That's nothing to do with them. Target can't. It's nothing to do with them. It's all on the banks and the processing fees that are paid by Walmart. Okay. Warns of broader harms, higher bank fees, annual fees returning, reduced fraud protection, less credit access, and echoes the debit card precedent after the 2010 Durbin Amendment. Now, the goal, scare cardholders into contacting Congress to kill the bill and preserve the current high swipe fee system. Yeah, they want you to work against yourselves. Because when you don't have the information, this is what you do as a consumer. So does it actually reflect the consequences? No, it exaggerates. It exaggerates certainty and omits the other half of the debate. So here's the balanced reality as of February 2026, with the bill reintroduced as of January 2026. Senate Bill 3623 and House Representative Bill 7035 and endorsed by President Trump. So claim the ad, what independent analysis both sides actually say. Rewards will be eliminated or no more cash back. Overstated. The bill does not ban or cap rewards. Banks decide those. Okay? It only requires large banks that are less than 100 billion in assets to let merchants route transactions over at least two unaffiliated networks, not one, which is Visa and MasterCard. Fees would likely fall some. Merchants project 16 billion annual savings, but banks have 27% profit margins and say that they can absorb it. Pro merchant studies, CMSPI, estimate rewards cut by less than 1% at most, 0.1%, sorry. Opponent studies, Oxford Economics predict big cuts of 228 billion economic hit, 156,000 jobs lost. Truth is somewhere in between. Premium rewards might shrink. Basic ones could be trimmed or annual fees added on some cards. So here's the thing. They've gotten so used to making these large amounts of money and they want to make more money that they just keep digging into people. So here's my thing. Shop your credit cards. Don't go with credit cards that have large annual fees, that have large fees on balances. Stop shopping around because, see, the less that people get these credit cards and are dealing with these people, then they'll be like, where's our consumers at? Well, we don't need you. We don't. We do not need you. There's a different way to have this credit. There is. People don't need you like that. They can get a prepaid credit card just to have credit on their credit history and not deal with you. Just saying. Now, this is just like the 2010 Durbin Amendment that killed debit rewards. So partially true, but misleading for credit cards. Debit interchange was capped. Rewards on debit were already minimal. Credit cards have no price cap here, only routing choice. Debit experience showed little to no retail price drop. Okay. And some banks added fees elsewhere, and that's what banks do because they still want to get that money. It's very crazy. So consumers will lose big, only big retailers will win. That's debatable. Rewards mainly benefit higher income rewards heavy users. Everyone pays higher retail prices to subsidize the 2 to 3% swipe fees. Pro bill side, retailers, NFIB, small business groups, says lower merchant costs, lower prices for all. Opponents say merchants won't pass savings on, and low-income subprime borrowers lose credit access or rewards the most. So yeah, it's still a game for big players, but people on the low end definitely lose. Now, fraud and security will collapse. That's exaggerated. Newer, cheaper networks must still meet security standards. There's no evidence that bill weakens protections. It's a talking point. So they're lying to everyone so they can still make billions of dollars. It's crazy. So the bottom line, the ad tells only the industry side. Banks, Visa, MasterCard want to keep the duopoly and high fees that fraud their profits and your rewards. It ignores the core problem the bill targets. Visa, MasterCard controlling 80% of the market, and merchants have zero choice on routing, so fees keep rising. Really? This is what's happening. So real world outcome, if passed, is uncertain. Modest fee reduction for merchants, modest rewards trimming for consumers, possible small price relief at stores, possible shift in credit availability. No one can say millions will lose everything with certainty. So this is a classic special interest advertising, emotionally effective, factually selective, designed to protect the status quo for credit card companies. The pro bill side runs in its own ads too, right? Fed up with fees, claiming the opposite. So both are one-sided. If the bill moves forward, watch for independent analysis from the Fed, GAO, or nonpartisan economists rather than either campaigning. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because, you know, obviously I talked to a lot of you guys and you are consumers out here just like me, you know, and a lot of us have credit cards, but we want to manage those credit cards effectively and not get taken advantage of. And so with that, let's take a little bit of a break. And when we return, we'll get back into some more of this news here on Tell It All Tuesday. And thank you guys again for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And we will see you on the other side.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
And we're back. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I wanted to get into a little bit more of a Tell It All Tuesday news. And this actual post I'm going to show you is from Juicy Genius, and definitely check her out on X. And she says Divine Nine exposed the satanic rituals and abuse forced on young people who want to be a part of a secret society. So this only doesn't just happen on certain ethnicities, I should say, right? They talk about secret societies that George W. Bush was a part of, right? And they've made movies about it. But it also happens in the Black community with our young people, and I'm sure in various other communities. So let's check out this clip.
And 19-year-old girls. So I'm not a victim. I brought over 4 lines and I abused 4 lines full of girls. I manipulated them. I sat there and looked these girls' moms in their face and told them that I was taking care of their kids, and I was sitting there abusing their children. All these people, oh my gosh, Epstein, and we should expose. No, we're about to expose you. They set up the altar and they put it at the front of a church and they desecrate the altar. Whoa. You would have to repeat the founders over and over and over again, necromancy. If you tell, you going to jail and you getting kicked out of school. Y'all should have walked away. We're implicated. If you got hurt that night, they would drop you off at the hospital and they would all come together and come with a corroborative story. You had deltas that worked at the police station, everything. We did that to 2 girls. We went under investigation and we all got in a room and lied and corroborated our story that we didn't know them. They had a thing called digging for worms that we would do outside blindfolded, where we would dig and dig and dig until our nails bled. Where if you was the girl that had the nicest hair on the line, they would put all types of concoctions and they would ruin your hair. No. Yes, they would. We ate dog food. The reason that they can get away with it is because of Hell Night. People are not telling the truth. It would be grace from God if I went to jail. Did we hurt people? What? We brutally hurt people. No. Oaths, rituals, necromancy. We was doing spells almost every night. So your memory is gone. Ask people in the comments. Majority of them cannot even remember half of the stuff that they did. It's 9 candles that you light in the Sigma, and they have 9 words. And each day we do a ritual to those words. And all 9 of those words are a blasphemous take on the 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit. It's a dark room. It has a red candle and a white candle because the deity attached to Delta is Minerva. Minerva is the goddess of wisdom, and we would light that candle to usher the spirit of the wisdom into the atmosphere. We need a female deity. Jesus ain't it. And they would take your hand and you would be hand in hand and say, I light the torch of wisdom. I invite in myself a new life force, which is Delta Sigma Theta. You walk away singing this little light of mine. We had God present. Yeah, you had God present so you could blaspheme him. You're sitting here saying to me, oh, this is a Christian liberty? Oh, nah. And we had to wash ourselves and say, I rid myself of all negative energy. I am refreshed, renewed, and I am reborn. No. Yes, we did. National process. Every person has done it. Every person has done it. We had to go give a gift at the altar. And we would have to light candles. We would have to give gifts. And you decide that you want to drop. You become an eternal pyramid.
Yeah. So that's happening to our babies. And I actually have people that I know, relatives that are a part of the Greek society. And we definitely need to pray for those that are a part of this, because I don't think people realize how deep it is until you get there, right? From the outside, you're like, oh, this looks really great and this looks nice. Growing up, just to tell a short story, when I was growing up, they had the movie School Days, and I was very enthralled by it. And then I actually visited Clark University because I was dating somebody at Morehouse. And I just remember them having to like walk by me and do this weird thing. And it turned me off forever. I was like, I don't ever want to be a part of anything like that. That's stupid. And that was my mentality. I was like, this is dumb. No, thank you. So I went through all my college years, just never even wanted to be a part of it. And now seeing things like this, I'm like, God was saving me from that. Necromancy. Those are all things that are part of pagan rituals and witchcraft. So, yeah, if your children are trying to get into these secret societies, I think you need to do your research before you go, because at least at that point, you can't say, I didn't know, right? You can't say that. Now, I did not get into the tariffs with Trump, and I meant to do that with you guys briefly, super briefly, because I've got like 3 more videos I need to share with you guys. And I'm like, I don't want to put this off again until Wednesday. I could, though. I could. But it's one of those things. It's almost like I don't have enough of this to do that. So my time. And yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to briefly hit and go over the Trade Act of 1974, which is what Trump is looking at doing next outside of the tariffs that they've struck down, right? So he did these tariffs and they said, you can't do that, even though it was a positive for the country, but can't do that. All right. So this is something, it's codified, called a balance of payments of authority. It gives the president broad but temporary unilateral power to address macroeconomic trade and currency imbalances through import restrictions. It has never been used by any prior president until February 2026, when President Trump invoked it to impose a temporary global import surcharge after a Supreme Court ruling invalidated certain tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Like I said, under the IEEP, as he stated, he could destroy lives. He could destroy whole countries. He could destroy whole trades, but he couldn't make any money for the American people. He could not negotiate. He could not imply tariffs, but he could destroy everything. So with this one, this balance of payments, he's able to do it, but he only has 150 days to utilize it. So the question is, when does it start and when does the time clock start and end, right? And I'm going to go to the bottom of this. And here's the deal. At the end of the day, people want to know, do we have to pay back the $175 billion, right? And if you decide to go this route, can you start it over again, or what happens? So in the section 122, surcharge is a fresh temporary levy that starts collection anew, does not absorb or excuse the government's obligation to old duties. Okay, so if you're an importer affected by this, consulting Trade Council or monitoring CIT development, CBP guidance would be key, as the situation remains fluid with ongoing litigation and possible legislative moves. Okay, meaning that whoever felt that they were harmed by having to pay this collectively $175 billion, they can come after the United States to get their money back. They can. Now, there is no statutory mechanism for 122 trade or custom law to roll over credit or recharacterize prior unlawful collections as payment towards the new surcharge. Because I was asking, okay, so we got this $175 billion. Can we just like use this to absolve that? No, you can't The 175 billion is what it is, and it has to be paid back. It is what it is. Okay. But they can use 122 to impose these tariffs for the next 150 days and get it done. So they're actually can make more money than the 175 billion. That's why I was like, okay, do they want to just like keep their money? They want to just like keep it the way it is. If you want to come after us, that's fine. But now we're going to make more money in the next 150 days. So sorry I'm jumping around, but I just wanted to do this quickly. And you can also, I'll have the link so you guys can look through it and really dig in. But Section 122 is a separate narrow authority for temporary broad import surcharges up to 15% ad valorem to address balance of payment issues. President Trump invoked it immediately after the ruling on February 20th. So this is when our time clock starts, right here. He's got 150 days from now, and that's it. Now, imposing 10% initially, later announced toward 15%, and that's effective as of today. So we'll probably hear more about this as at his State of the Union address. And I said why refunds are likely, because I asked, it says, no funds collected under the invalidated IEP can be simply rolled into the new surcharges. So that can't happen. I was trying to find something else for you guys. The duration is 150 days unless Congress passes legislation to extend it. So there is possible extension, but Congress would have to do that. Now in 150 days, things may be changing. Just saying. Let's see, 9 months till November. We'll probably have a new Congress. Yeah, but they can't do anything until January. So the old Congress would still be there. So he's got a shot. Just saying. He's got a shot if they can extend it with the current Congress, but it would be via an act of Congress to do that. So he couldn't go over those 150 days. So I wanted to share that with you guys and just, make you aware. Okay. Because a lot of times people will have talking points out there. Things get confusing. And this is why I try to give you guys some solid information as best I know how and as best I can. Now let's check out the Georgia State Board of Elections. I've got 3 videos here. I'm not going to play all 3 videos. I'm just going to play just as much as you guys need. And we're going to end our Tell It All Tuesday with these videos from Class E. That's what he goes by on YouTube, but he is here in Georgia. So let's check out the first video. Now, this is about the pastors on the raid of the FBI. That's what this particular video focuses on.
We've been covering at length everything that's been going on with the state elections board meeting that's happened over the last couple days. And one of the things we covered in the last video about Fulton County specifically is that there was going to be a meeting of faith leaders here in Fulton County, speaking not only on what they've seen with the FBI raid, with the Department of Justice being involved in the Fulton County election offices, but how they felt things should go, how they feel about what's happening here in Fulton County, and responding to what they've seen in the election board's meeting. Now, we heard the election board and their concerns about what would be said at this meeting because they're really tired of everyone making this into something it's not, as far as a search for the truth. This is literally a search for the truth. You hear one side saying this is a threat to democracy. They're trying to make you guys feel insecure about your vote, when Georgia voters, specifically Fulton County voters, already felt that way. And then we have the other side that's saying, hey guys, the only way we can get some peace about not only what happened in Fulton County in 2020, but about the election process in general is by looking into it, and we support it. So now we're going to hear from these faith leaders in a second. But first, let's get a summary of what's been going down in these election boards meetings and what we can hear and look forward to hearing from these pastors about what happened during this FBI raid. Check this out.
Zach, it's quite a long meeting, often, as you know, a lengthy agenda. So far, they haven't specifically done any agenda items related to that FBI raid, but there are Fulton County agenda items still to come. Those items include looking into poll worker misconduct in the November 2020 election, double voting, voter fraud, and an update on a subpoena for 2020 election documents and ballots from Fulton County. The state election board first issued 2 subpoenas to Fulton County for 2020 election materials in November 2024. So far, we are not aware of the board receiving those documents. Now, of course, many documents from that 2020 election have been seized by the FBI. Last week, we also learned from digging into the FBI affidavit in the Fulton County election hub raid that 2 state election board members are listed as witnesses in the affidavit. Those members are Janelle King and Dr. Janice W. Johnston, and we will be here all afternoon monitoring this meeting. Keep you guys updated both on this stream and later on in the afternoon on air. Live in Barrow County, Gilot Malamet, 11 Alive News.
All right, so let's hear from the quote unquote faith leaders about this. I already told you guys in a past video, I don't really like it, and I find it strange how these pastors and quote unquote faith leaders are going about this situation, because it's just, it seems a little uncomfortable that they're taking this much of a stance in one direction. Especially when we can clearly see that there's some truth being left out here. It's obvious to me what side they land on when it comes to left versus right. And it's unfortunate to see, especially for some faith leaders that are supposed to be focused on what the truth is. But enough hearing from me. I'll let you guys hear it from them themselves.
Officials who are demanding that the FBI returns some seized 2020 ballots. You remember that the FBI came down on this election facility here in Fulton County. They seized data from the 2020 elections, and they want all of that stuff returned. Mark Teichner is getting to the bottom of this new motion that's out there right now. It's a blistering motion trying to get all of that data back to us. He joins us now from the federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta.
Well, in their filing, the county claims that the feds violated the Fourth Amendment, which deals with protecting folks from unreasonable search and seizures.
They will be in for the fight of their life if they want to pick off Fulton County, Georgia.
Fulton County comes out swinging. Tuesday, the county filed an amended motion with a federal judge asking for election data seized by the FBI be returned. Last month, as part of a criminal investigation, the feds raided the county election hub, seizing hundreds of boxes containing ballots, voter rolls, and other election-related material.
It's been a long time in coming, I think, and getting a lot of the answers that need to be given.
That's State Election Board member Sally Grubbs, who has long voiced concerns over Fulton County's handling of the 2020 election. Using phrases like woefully deficient and flagrantly misleading, the county claims the affidavit used to okay the raid was flawed in numerous ways. The county's new motion claims the FBI did not allege probable cause a crime had been committed, instead relied on unproven hypotheticals. It also claims the feds left out key facts about previous investigations and about witnesses cited in the affidavit, even pointing out the statute of limitations for any crime possibly committed in 2020 has expired.
That allegation, that claim, that nonsense has been debunked. It's been reviewed. It's been looked at A to Z.
That's not true, Rob. I don't know why Rob keeps saying this. Brad Raffensperger did not do a great job investigating this. Barely answered any open records requests, as we heard from our guy, Mr. Favorito. So again, it's not true, wasn't investigated well, and we saw different results in not only the 2 recounts, but the actual audit.
Their words, not my own. I want to let you listen in to some of those faith leaders. They come from a number of different churches. I'll name just a couple of them. Big Bethel. We heard from Prospect AME Church, Ray of Hope.
Of course, it's Big Bethel. Big Bethel is the left. And again, I'm not getting into the politics. They are a super left-leaning church. They had Fannie Willis up in there crying and saying she was being discriminated against because she's a black woman going after the president, after the white man. They had John Ossoff in there recently. Big Bethel. It's an embarrassment. It's a joke, in my opinion. So, of course, they're going to be there speaking about this.
We also heard from the King Center. I'll let you listen again to one of those faith leaders during today's conference.
All right, good morning. Please allow me to say thank you first and foremost. I'm Dr. Jay Augustine, the senior pastor at Big Bethel AME Church on Sweet Auburn Avenue in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here certainly in my individual capacity, but I'm also here with some other very concerned clergy, very concerned members of the laity. We're very concerned about the state of democracy in America, and more pointedly, we're concerned about what's going on with a targeted eye toward Fulton County. I'm here as an AME pastor, not just representing myself, but I'm also here on behalf of my presiding bishop, the Right Reverend Michael Leon Mitchell, the presiding prelate of what we call the 6th Episcopal District, but what is the state of Georgia. In other words, by virtue of my appearance today and the words that I share, I want you to understand that all of the AME churches in the state of Georgia are speaking, and we want to speak loudly. We want to speak forcefully.
Speaks for all the
You to
churches?
understand the message we have to share. Now, first, on a personal note, allow me to share. Big Bethel has long been known as the City Hall of Sweet Auburn because it is a place of organizing. It is not just a place where, as Christians, we focus on salvation and the kingdom to come. It's a place where we address social inequities down here in the kingdom at hand. It's a place that has a history of being out front in the fight for human equality. Since January 28th, since the raid and the seizure of 700 ballot boxes representing votes cast by citizens of Fulton County, we have questions. We came in search of answers, but as we follow the logical line, we find ourselves asking more and more questions.
Yeah, are they the right questions though? Because we're asking questions too.
Okay. Like I said, these videos will be linked so you can watch them in totality, but I only have so much time to get through them. Now, the next video that we're gonna that I want to share with you guys, this is some interaction at the Board of Elections, and they're talking about some illegal voters that they found. They have something here in the state called a motor voter. And what that means is when you go to the Department of Driver Services, even if you are not a legal citizen, you can get a driver's license and they will automatically register you to vote. Okay? But the thing about it is, they don't necessarily verify your nation status, right? If you are a naturalized citizen. And I think that's what they needs to start doing. If you do not have naturalization papers, there should be a big old print on the back of your driver's license that says you are not an American citizen, or just say not a U.S. citizen, period. If you do not come with naturalization papers when you get your driver's license, that eliminates it all. And guess what? If you don't have naturalization papers, then you cannot be registered to vote. Shuts it down. I'm just saying, that's an easy process. But they try to say, well, it's administrative. It's administrative. It's administrative. If it's administrative, fix it. But that does not excuse you from basically registering people that are here that are undocumented, which means they're not legal citizens. That doesn't mean you register them to vote and then get to call, oopsie, it was administrative error. It's clerical error. Yeah.
Now that we've heard everything that's being said by the state election
through the system, which was ENET, and the same thing
it's a
with
clerical error,
Jarvis.
guys.
There is a process. We still process them, but we check that they're not citizens, or they go into pending, waiting for documentation. They get an opportunity to supply that, but all of that goes to verifying everything on the application, because some come through mail, some come through Oliver, and then we have to verify that they are citizens currently.
Oh, and y'all think we're just getting to the clerical errors? We're going to get to the excuses. Oh, well, this happens all the time. It's not a big deal. And the elections board has just had enough of it.
Going back to speak to voters still in active status, and they never voted. The Secretary of State does that letter, the confirmations, when people don't vote. They do go into inactive status. Between the transition from ENET to Jarvis, there was a long period of time that those voters were not sent those confirmation letters. We cannot just take them off. They have to go through the process. We have to notify them that we're going to take them off if they have not had any contact or had any voting history or any updates, because you never have to vote.
Yeah.
You can continue to update your record and never vote. You don't have to.
Correct. So this process took 12 years. Is that what not you? I know it's not you. So the Secretary of State's office, right? So the Secretary of State's office dropped the ball here. And the reason why they were brought to us today.
Wait, board member. I thought Brad Raffensperger said everything was good. They didn't drop the ball. 12 years later, we're still working on it. We're still figuring it out, right? That was what was said. There's no basis or no need to look into this because we're figuring it out as we go. 12 years. Yes, that's correct. 2014.
History or any updates, because you never have to vote.
Yeah.
You can continue to update your record and never vote. You don't have to.
Correct. So this process took 12 years. Is that not you? I know it's not you. So the Secretary of State's office, right? So the Secretary of State's office dropped the ball here, and the reason why they were brought to us today, or we know about this, is because they were still on the voter rolls. So because they are still on, I want to make sure I'm clear. So basically, what you're saying is the reason why they were still in the voter rolls. I think they've been removed recently, but they were still in the voter rolls for the past 12 years, is because the Secretary of State's office did not do what they were supposed to do.
They could have updated through when they went to get their driver's license, because non-citizens can have a driver's license. We don't get those from DPS because they've checked that they're not citizens. But when they go, it's potential, since they were already.
There are. I have a lot of questions.
So,
how are non-citizens getting? We'll get to that though. Yeah, I know they do. You're right.
She's like, how did they get a license?
There are various ways where people can move to active even without voting, because it relates more to contact with the voters. So if someone goes in and they update their address with DDS, a lot of times that will, even if they've been in inactive status, it kicks them back into active status. And that's just like an automatic thing that occurs. There's not an easy way that I know from the county perspective to go.
Again, there is an easy way. If you are not a naturalized citizen, you will not have naturalization papers. If you do not have naturalization papers, you know what goes on your driver's license? You are not a U.S. citizen, period. Not a U.S. citizen. And that would eliminate everything. That means, hey, these people do not automatically get registered to vote. You don't click that button for this particular person. And it comes with a time limit on it as well. We'll get into that.
Go through and to be able to verify whether someone is truly a citizen or not, that were registered prior to the change. I don't know if the Secretary of State has access to other databases or something that can run that kind of search. I don't know, but I know from the county perspective, we don't really have a way to do that.
So basically from a state level, there's really there's not a solid way to verify whether a person is a citizen or a non-citizen on our voter rolls.
Not that the
unless they check their box and say I'm a non-citizen, or they get resummoned.
They get some, like say if they get a precinct card, precinct changes, they may get a precinct card and they realize, why am I getting this? I'm not, I can't vote. They may call the office. But I'm not aware of a sort of.
So basically they're relying on people to do the right thing instead of going out and vote, which the system allows them to do. And y'all wonder why we've been pushing so hard and why we've been talking about the system needing to change. It is so flawed. It's scary.
And that's why I say Georgia is a bellwether for what's going to happen around the United States. Because when it comes back in a lot of those FBI documents that I won't call them FBI documents, in the Fulton County documents that were basically seized by the FBI. And when they find out how many people were here illegally and voting in all elections and probably serving jury duty, all kinds of nonsense. Because that's happening, right? We'll get to this third video. But yeah, Fulton County has a lot of explaining to do. A lot of explaining. And you see how they keep trying to put it on the Secretary of State. Like, well, it's the Secretary. No. This starts at the local level. And this starts with people not just doing the right thing, but implementing better practices, right? So maybe we do need to work with our state legislatures to say, hey, what the process looks like this, it needs to change all over the state, statewide, and this is how it needs to be implemented. No more motor voter registration. If people want to register to vote, now they do have this in California, you can fill out a voter registration document. It's separate from your application. So you're not automatically enrolled and registered to vote, right? Like the other lady was saying, she was like, well, they're kept in kind of like this little space until we can verify them. That we should never be doing that, ever. If people want to register to vote, when they get their driver's license, that's when they're registered to vote. If they don't, they don't, period. But it will save us a lot of grief if we do it that way. So let's get to this third video.
Well, Just when I thought things couldn't get more interesting with the recent meetings that's happened with the state election board, we get to find this absolute gem of an opening statement from Janelle King, one of the board members here on the state elections board in Georgia. And I was thoroughly impressed, surprised, and grateful to hear this from Miss King, because she gives a lot of her sentiments during this statement are what we've been communicating on this channel. And she directly speaks to what's been going on, not only in Georgia, but specifically in Fulton County. And she does not hold back. So I'm going to let you guys hear this from her. It's an absolutely amazing statement. And then we're actually going to hear from a couple other of the board members on how they feel about the voting issue that's been going on since before 2020, right here in Fulton County and in the state of Georgia in general. Check this out.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't mind starting. I haven't made a public comment around my thoughts surrounding the Fulton County seizure that took place. And so I wanted to provide that today. I've written them out, so I'm just going to read my notes. That's okay.
Please.
I think by now everyone is aware of the FBI search and seizure that took place a few weeks ago. From day one, before anyone knew what was in the warrant, the narratives began to swarm, which we all began to hear. While it is public knowledge that I was contacted by the Bureau, I had no idea the seizure was going to happen or when it was going to happen. But I hoped for it because, as you know, we also subpoenaed for those same documents.
Oh, wait, that is so important. And I hate to interrupt Ms. King, but this is so important. The board was asking for this information. She said she is thankful for the FBI raid. Guys, we've heard what the mainstream media and a lot of even what the local news stations are saying here, that, oh, the board didn't really speak on the FBI raid. They didn't say anything about the Department of Justice. Well, you're hearing it right here from one of the board members. You're hearing that she said she was thankful that it happened because they've been trying to get answers for a very, very long time. This is amazing.
But let me tell you why. When I joined this board, Speaker John Burns gave me one requirement, and that was to do the right thing. That was my only mission. I knew that I had a lot to learn. I knew that there were opposing perspectives and a deep-seated mistrust in our system. But what I did not expect was the number of people who would insist that the election was perfect and one of the best in the country, yet cannot explain how the process actually works once the ballot leaves the voter's hand. That's where I felt like I could assist the most. I'm here to shine the light on issues that have stayed in the dark, that have kept people in the dark. Who you vote for is the only secret part of the election. Every other step must be transparent and it must be easy to understand. So you can't do your duty as a citizen if you don't have that understanding. So to be clear, we're not here because of conspiracy theories. We're not here because of sore loser activists. We're not here because a little bit of fraud that wasn't enough to change the outcome. And we're certainly not here because of some power trip to target Fulton County. We're here because our election has been in question for a long time, well before 2020.
Yes.
In 2018, Stacey Abrams distrusted the process, claiming of vote flipping, hacking vulnerabilities, and machine crashes. Many of the same people who are upset with her questioning today, many of the same people who were upset with us questioning the elections today supported her back then. We fast forward to 2020, and we all went to sleep with Trump in the lead. Our Secretary of State even confirmed in an interview on election night that Trump's lead was significant. We woke up and the lead was gone. That raised questions.
Yes, it
did. And
did.
it should be rightful questions. It's okay to question. After the first hand count, it was discovered that 4 counties forgot to upload 6,000 ballots, 1,300 of which were from Trump. Over the course of 3 audits, we got 3 different outcomes. Unfortunately, the machine audit said Biden won by 12,670 votes. The hand count showed a lead by 12,284 votes.
Number 2.
The certified vote landed at 11,779 votes.
3 times.
Our job is to make sure your vote is not only cast without barriers, but that it counts. Your vote is disqualified if it isn't cast, but it's also disqualified when it's cast and isn't counted properly. It's disqualified when a coding error causes you to vote for the wrong candidate. It's disqualified when someone who isn't legal votes 23 times in our elections and votes on how your taxes are to be spent. Is disqualified when 300 people vote in your city race without you knowing, giving you a council member you did not elect. Is disqualified when a neighboring voter decides who your mayor will be, effectively canceling your voice.
See, and this is the thing that's being missed. We all want to focus on the 2020 election and the big picture of this national election. But man, Janelle's making such a great point by saying, what about the little parts of this? When we call it the quote unquote little parts, what about right in your county? What about right in your city? What about your mayor? There are people who, just because they got a driver's license, are able to go and vote and not only impact who is going to be in office without a legal right of voting, but how your tax dollars are spent. This is so much more than the presidential election. It goes down to your county, to your city, and even to the state. Amazing, man. Amazing.
We are here because the public asked.
Yeah.
Americans did their duty. They researched. They asked questions. They demanded answers. Because of that, we now know there were ballots that were double counted and tabulated. As we can all see, the recounts were off. Thanks to the efforts of many, we now see that our voter rolls are inflated statewide. And they were inflated when nearly 7 million ballot applications were sent to every registered voter, meaning a house where one person lives could have received multiple applications. This opens us up to ballot harvesting like never before. But this isn't a problem that is new. I've worked in Georgia politics for over a decade. I remember door knocking years ago and noticing that some addresses on my app had upwards to 13 names associated with them. And when I knocked on the door and spoke to the resident, I was told that only 2 people lived there and that the rest of the people on the list were previous tenants. That was over a decade ago. Yet there's still a consensus from some that we are not to question our elections or our elected officials, which could not be further from the truth. Protecting this republic isn't just the job of a politician. It requires personal responsibility from every one of us. There is a universal rule in politics that when the people drop the ball on our duty, the government will always be there to pick it up. And we're not going to like how the government carries it. Voting isn't just a choice, it's a duty. It is the price of admission for a free society. And right now, we are being forced to play the role of the adult in the room. And let's be honest, being the adult is difficult. It means making the tough calls. It means demanding standards when everyone else is shouting for convenience. Americans have drawn the line in the sand. It is us saying that our sovereignty is not up for negotiation and our votes are not up for erasure. The only thing that separates us from a banana republic is our ability to choose our own leaders. And right now, the level of vulnerability in our system puts all of our votes at risk. This isn't because our election workers are bad people. It's because they have bad leadership. As a result, they are underfunded, overworked, and left to fend for themselves as if we're living in the wild, wild west. The days of defending those we elected to represent us are over. We are here to trust the word. We are not here to trust the words of politicians who seek their next office the moment they win the first one. We are here to hold them accountable to the job that we hired them to do. We are not the bad guys. Those who break their oaths are. The moment we start listening to weak narratives and parroting misleading talking points is the day we hand over our power and lose this country. It's time to stop making excuses for a broken system and start verifying the one thing that keeps us all free, and that's the American vote. And if you don't guard it, if we don't guard the gate, nobody will. That's my thoughts.
Wow, we gotta give Janelle King a round of applause. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And again, I will make sure that the link is in the repost so you guys can watch the rest of the video and the comments from the other members of the State Board of Elections here in Georgia. And what she said is very true. But what I really appreciate about what she said is we, the people, have to do the work. We cannot expect these politicians to do the work because obviously some of them are not. And if they are doing some of the work, they're doing it for party. They're not doing it for the people. And that's where we have to stand up and, make sure the country is maintained, because this is a republic. It always kills me when people say, this is a democracy. No, we are a constitutional republic. We are a constitutional republic. We have democratic tendencies with quasi-socialism. It is what it is, right? But we cannot give up and just let everything fall apart because we get upset or we feel disenfranchised. We have to stand up and say, hey, I've been disenfranchised and you're going to fix this. That's the response, right? So thank you guys again for joining me here for Tell It All Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow with Women in Wellness Wednesday, and it will be open mic. I don't have a guest yet, but I'm looking forward to having a guest on hopefully next week. So I want to thank you guys again for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for Tell It All Tuesday. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.